This video illustrates file globbing. There are four main globbing symbols. The question mark, which matches one character, the asterisk, which will match many characters, the square brackets, which will match one character that is listed inside of the brackets, and the curly brace, which will match multiple characters in a group inside of the curly braces, where the different groups must be separated by the comma. Let's take an example here. Now, if we look in the /labs directory, we see there's a list of other directories, and we'll start with just picking the bash directory. I'm going to change my working directory to the bash directory and look at the files here, and you can see that there's a lot of files that begin or that contain a dir. So we can say, let's see all the files that end with dir by saying ls star dir. Now when we do this, you see that there's this aa dir and ab dir, but and there's the my-dir, and there's even one that begins with a comma dir. Okay. Now, if we wanted to see all the ones that begin with dir, we can type lsdir star and put the star at the end, and we will see that there were absolutely no matches. However, if we wanted to look at the file that begins with an A, we have ADIR, BDIR, CDIR, and D. If we just wanted to say use the vowels, let's say A, E, I, O, and U, DIR. Then you see by doing this LS, we get this listing of A, E, I, O, and U, DIR. Now, it doesn't matter what order we put those in, we're still going to get the same listing. Also, we don't have to do all of them. If I take out the UE, we just get those three. Now notice by doing the AIO, we didn't match AA or AB. We just match the ones with a single character because the square brackets say match a single character. But if we went back to the ls star, we had AA and AB. Okay. Now if we put a question mark, the question mark will match only a single character, so we match the ADIR but not the AA or the AB dir. Because the star will match multiple characters, in this case an AA and an AB and just an A, or possibly none at all if that was the case. And the question mark only matches one character. We could also use the curly braces where we could say, well, I want to match the AB, comma, and AA. And again, the order doesn't really matter. So what I did was I grouped the AB together to get just these two files. And notice I didn't pick up the A because I'm saying it must have an A and then a B or two A's together. And the comma is the separator. Now notice if we did this with the square brackets, AB, comma, AA, DIR, what happens here is we get the ADIR and the BDIR. We only get, even though I had AA together, we're only looking at one character. So the fact that I have looking for A 3 times is just redundant. I'm looking for an A and then a DIR. I'm looking for a B and a DIR. And by the way, I'm looking for a comma. See, in this case, inside the square brackets, it's just a character. It's not a special character, but inside of the curly braces, it was a special character. Okay. Now you can see that even though these say dir, only the comma dir is a directory, and we can view that by adding the D option so that we can see that here is our file type of a directory D, which is why when I run the ls-l on comma dir, it's telling me a total 0 because it's a directory with no files inside of it. Alright, now you can use this file globbing anywhere in the file reference. So if we do an ls again back on the /labs directory, you see that I have a data, or well, not the data. Let's look at the farm and the zoo directory. Now we can view both of those using this file globbing. I can say, well, let's do something that begins with F, and if you see, farm is the only one that begins with an F, so we can use a square bracket F and a Z, and then just anything after that. Okay, and right now I'm just going to put the D and just list those, and you can see that I've listed both of those directories. However, if I now take away the D, it's actually going to list the files in those directories. Now you can see there's a lot of files in there. We see in the farms directory I have a bunch of JPEGs, and in the zoo directory I have a bunch of JPEGs. Now if you look at these JPEGs, you see that they're all numbered very similarly. We can select those. We can say, well, let's get all of those that begin with, well, they all begin with a few zeros there, but let's say 3 zeros, and then I'm looking for either a 02, comma 04, comma 19. Okay. And so I'm going to list those, and then after that it should just be a .jpeg. And as you see, what we find then is it went into the farm directory and found a 2 and a 19. But it went into the zoo directory and it couldn't find a 19, but it found a 2 and a 4. And that's just because in the zoo directory there was a 2 and a 4, but you see it skips from 17 to 20. It skips over number 19. And similarly, if we come back up and look at the farm one, it did a 2, but there was no 4 between the 3 and the 5. So using this file globbing, I'm using a combination referencing different directories and then different files inside of different directories, and I can be very precise and yet gather a large collection of files that match certain criteria that I am looking for. Okay, so as you can see, using file globbing allows you to quickly and easily select a lot of files that match a certain criteria.